What's going on with the Omaha real estate market? Are we starting to see signs of a shift? Well, we're going to tackle that in today's topic, and we're going to get started right now. Hi, my name is David Matney with Nebraska Realty. I'm a local realtor here in Omaha, Nebraska. Now let's jump into today's topic. Now, before we talk about today's topic, I just want to talk a little bit about what you read and see, either on YouTube or the news. You're going to see a lot of news about the market starting to crash. And I want you to consider a couple of things. Number one is consider the source. If all of these folks that are on YouTube that are so smart about predicting the upcoming real estate collapse and crash, well then why didn't they buy a few years ago and sell their properties or sell their inventory now versus just producing a video saying the market's going to crash? Nobody can predict the future. You have to live somewhere. You can either buy or you can rent. If you buy a home and you lock in at a low interest rate, you lock in that payment for the next 30 years. Now, if you rent, typically only does one thing, and that just simply goes up over time. Long term, you're going to be much better off owning than you are renting. And here's the other thing too, bad news sells. And you're going to get a much better click-through rate on a YouTube video if you put the word crash or you put a downward arrow or something like that. People don't want to watch a video about, hey, I'm going to save up my money, I'm going to do some research, I'm going to buy a home I can afford and build up long-term equity and build wealth over time. That's not really sexy, and that's not really what gets people to click on a YouTube video. Now, I hear this a lot, almost every day, that the market is going to collapse. I'm going to wait. My brother's best friend's cousin's uncle says that I should wait because the market's going to go down and the market's going to crash. We've had some double-digit appreciation and we've had some crazy things go on in the past couple of years. And we're probably due for a recession. Now, every market handles recessions differently. In fact, Nebraska is ranked as one of the best places to survive a recession. Now, if we do have a recession, does that mean that we're going to have a drop in real estate prices? Not necessarily. Here's the thing. Everybody likes to look at today and compare it to 2008. Now, there is a big difference. In 2008, if you fogged a mirror, you could buy a home. The government was actively encouraging home ownership, which is a good thing. But here's the thing. There's a whole bunch of folks out there that were buying homes, in no way should have been buying homes. And then the other thing that happened was they were getting into loans that they did not understand, okay? And they were being told things like, you buy the house now and you do an adjustable rate mortgage, and then in a couple years you can refinance. Come to find out that didn't happen. 2 years would pass by, their rate would adjust, the prices declined, and now they couldn't refinance because they were upside down on the loan. And then the other thing that folks were doing were they were getting into loans. Lenders were offering products that were just ridiculous, where they would say it would be a stated income loan. A stated income loan is just that, stated income. You just say, hey, I make $100,000. And you didn't have to have proof of that. Nowadays, when you go get a loan, you have to provide proof that you actually make that money. Okay, so you want to be very careful about taking advice from people and what resources you're using for your data. That is why it's important to look at the facts and the data as to what's actually going on in the market. Now, in 2008, in the Omaha market, we had over 6,500 homes on the active market. If you sold a home in 30 days, you were a superhero. And it was not uncommon to have 10 to 15 listings at any one given time. Here's the other thing too. Every real estate market is local. Omaha is very economically diverse. When there's a recession, we tend to handle it very well. There's a saying that goes that in many ways, Omaha doesn't get invited to the party, so we don't get the hangover. With that being said, what is our current inventory? As of May 11th, 2022, we currently have 646 active homes on the market. Now, when you remove new construction, you have 295 existing homes for sale. Okay, let's take a look at April's numbers. Okay, in April of 2022, we had 1,032 closed sales. The median closed sales price was $300,000. And get this, the median list price was $282,975. The median days on market was 2 days on the market. Okay, how does April of this year compare to April of last year? Now, in April of 2021, we had 1,063 closed sales. The median closed sales price was $256,500, and the median days on market was 2 days on the market. Now, we're in a seller's market. However, you have to be careful not to overprice the property. Now, many sellers will fall into this trap, and many for sale by owners will also get caught into this as well. And they're going to be assuming multiple offers. Now, this is going to be counterintuitive, and that is you have a better chance of driving up that price by putting a realistic list price on that property. If you overprice it, and then you don't sell it right away, people start to wonder, hey, what's wrong with that property? It's been on the market for 5 days. And then here's another mistake. And a lot of sellers fall into this trap too. And that is with deferred maintenance. Okay, let's say you have a property that needs a roof replacement. You're gonna have to deal with that roof sooner or later. You can deal with it either one of two ways. Let's say the roof is bad and it needs to be replaced. Well, then if the buyer comes along and wants to buy that house, but then they can't get insurance on it because the roof is excluded from coverage, when they won't be able to get their financing. Or what'll happen is you'll have a buyer come along, let's say it's a cash buyer, and they say, hey, I got to put on a new roof. Well, then that roof is kind of baked into the cake in the fact that they're going to say, well, let's say the house is $300,000. And they're like, I got to put a new roof on it. So I'm only going to offer you $285,000. Okay, you're much better off as a seller to go ahead and be proactive. Put that new roof on there, and then you can market it to the entire marketplace. Hey, roof has been replaced. So that way you want to make sure that even though we're in a seller's market and even though we have low inventory, you're going to have a much better chance of driving up that price by pricing it correctly. The second thing is, any deferred maintenance, go ahead and take care of those repairs. Okay, what about interest rates? As of May 11th, 2022, the current interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 5.4%. What you're starting to see is that some buyers are being priced out of the market. And here's another problem, and I mentioned this in a couple other videos, and that is if you purchased a home a few years ago, and let's say you're currently at a 3% interest rate, you have very little incentive in order to go out there and buy a new home because now your interest rate would be 5.4%. Okay, now here's another good thing too. Some lenders are getting a little bit creative in the fact that what they're offering is they're coming out with some incentives. For example, there's one lender here in town that's a local lender that's doing a 10-1 ARM at 4%. And here's what this means. It's for owner-occupied properties. And what they're saying is that you have a fixed rate for the next 10 years at 4%. And then after that 10 years, then it will adjust. So let's say you don't plan on being in your next home for 10 years. That might be a good option. So you want to make sure that you take a look at all the possibilities, especially when you're planning for that mortgage. Okay, now here's another thing that's making Omaha a very attractive place. Our population right now is just under 1 million people. Okay, now when a metro area hits 1 million people, more companies begin to look to invest in those types of areas because they just simply have more population base. So you look around our city, you're going to see more and more cranes and more expansion and more development. Our Chamber of Commerce has been really proactive, and some of the things they have citywide planned is pretty exciting. Okay, what about the price of materials? Okay, the price of lumber is currently at $1,022 for 1,000 board feet, and that's good news for anyone building a home. However, lumber prices are still much higher than the pre-pandemic levels. Okay, what about jobs? Our current unemployment rate in Douglas County is 2.6%, and in Sarpy County, it's 2.2%. Okay, we do have a shortage of labor. In fact, I was at Mama's Pizza, a local Omaha pizza joint, and they're now closed on Tuesdays because they just simply don't have enough workers. And then they had a sign in the door that said they were paying $19 an hour for anyone who wanted to work. There are a lot of employment opportunities in the city of Omaha, not just for, at a pizza joint, but there's a lot of growth and development going on. So that's adding to our economic base as well. And if you want to know some more about some of my favorite places to eat, hey, be sure to watch this video next. And hey, don't forget, show some love for the channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and go ahead and ring that bell for notifications. And you make it a great day.